All right, so we are here today talking about social giants' advancements into e-commerce, trying to answer the questions, will it keep customers hooked or shake up loyalty? I'm here with Gary Garofalo from LoudCrowd. I'm Kyle Standert from retention.com. And we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into this topic and get some more insight on that. So, going to ask you a couple questions here, Gary. And first one I have for you is an easy one, just an intro of tell me a little bit about what you do and who you are and what LoudCrowd does.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kyle. Pleasure to be here. My name is Gary Garofalo. I'm the CEO of LoudCrowd. And what LoudCrowd does is we help brands monetize their creators. And the primary way we do that is by allowing brands to build creator storefronts on their actual native e-coms. It really helps their creators sell better, sell more effectively, and do it on their e-com so they get to protect their customer experience a little bit more than they would on a third-party platform.
Awesome. And then I'm Kyle. I'm VP of Marketing and Partnerships over at retention.com. Retention.com, we help brands with their identity resolution, identifying anonymous visitors on their site from returning customers to help drive more revenue from that current subscriber list to identifying net new customers and drive email growth. So we do two very powerful things, both with the goal of trying to bring more revenue through the email marketing program for brands. And so now that we got the intros out of the way, uh, first question I have here for you is, with your extensive experience, how would you define social commerce? Like what trends have you observed in consumer buying patterns through social media, and how are brands adapting to these changes?
Yeah. So to break those down one at a time, we'll start with just the definition of social commerce. I think if you actually Google social commerce, the answers you're going to get back are really, really antiquated. So the Sprouts and the Hootsuites are going to define in their blogs social commerce as e-commerce transactions that happen natively on a social platform. I think that's a great answer for 2020. I think in 2024, there's been a lot more nuanced ways that creators have been able to sell their content. Like no marketers today are going to say, creators selling via LTK or creators trying to push products directly in their link tree. Everyone's going to find that as social commerce. So I think the better definition for social commerce now are really e-commerce transactions that are initiated from social media content. And if we define it like that, I think there's been a couple of really, really big trends there. The first is more and more transactions are happening on social media platforms. The big one to talk about is TikTok. That's been really, really transformative. So I'll double click on that in a second. The second really big trend has been creators are now more focused than ever on actually monetizing their content and providing more bottom of the funnel value as opposed to just top of funnel brand awareness. So those are the big things that we're seeing. To kind of double click on each of those trends, I would just say for starters, we have seen exponential growth in TikTok shops really in every industry. So that really has been exploding. And I would say if you're a brand that is focused on Gen Z, if you're a brand that has a very competitively priced product or a brand that wants to run a very lean operation and grow top of the funnel aggressively, you're being very, very negligent right now if you're not at least taking a really, really hard look at TikTok shops. I would say the flip side of that, and the side that gets a lot less attention, it's kind of the dark side of TikTok shops, is that when brands are investing in TikTok shops and they're driving transactions through TikTok shops, that really changes everything about the relationship. It changes the brand economics. So I think most brands know the AOV of any transaction that happens on a TikTok shop is typically a lot lower than a transaction that's going to happen on your e-commerce platform. Even more importantly, a lot of times the LTV of those customers is going to be totally, totally different. For instance, just anecdotally, a lot of people, if you're buying a product on a TikTok shop via some creator, you might not even know the name of the product. If you're going to order it again in 6 months, you can run into somebody, hey, where'd you get those jeans? I ordered them from a creator on TikTok. They actually don't even know the name of the brand. So I just think brands need to pay attention to TikTok shops just like they would any other channel, and they need to evaluate TikTok shops as a channel themselves. It's really the same question of, do I want to sell via retailers? Do I want to sell via Amazon? For some brands, it's a really, really great decision. For a lot of brands, the economics just don't add up. And in addition to that, they're going to charge a little bit more and you're going to get less data in return. So it's just a really interesting question for every brand. Every brand should be evaluating, do I want to do more social commerce? Do I want to invest more in these types of platforms? I would just say it's not a ubiquitous yes for everyone, because it is a truly channel by channel decision. So that's one big trend that we've seen. And then I would say the other really big trend that we've seen in social commerce is just creators now moving a little bit more towards bottom of the funnel. We're seeing more and more creators, they are trying to match their content to make it shoppable with products that they're trying to partner with brands on. The tools for them have grown exponentially in the last few years, and it is now much, much easier for a creator to create very organic content that is going to be shoppable. So that's been another really, really major trend that brands are paying attention to. And I expect because of that trend, because we're seeing creators become more bottom of the funnel tools, I expect brands are going to invest a lot more in creators over the coming years.
Awesome. Yeah, two really great points. And I think just want to kind of go back to your first one about a little more of the the negative sides of the social shopping, because like you said, it's so easy to go out there and everyone's always talking about um, all the great parts of social e-commerce, and like you have to get into it. And a lot of times I think these brand founders and operators can kind of get caught up in the hype, and it's like all of a sudden now it's the next thing in your next marketing meeting or go to marketing strategy, and it's like, hey, we need to be doing social commerce, and they might not be looking at all the actual like downsides to it, right? Because social commerce is made for shoppers, not sellers. So like they're just really trying to get as many buyers as possible on their particular platform, but you're losing that, like you're saying, brand exposure. Do they even know what brand they're buying? Sometimes you kind of lose that shopping experience of being able to browse around and see what else they have on their website, any cross product that they have. Um, and I think another big one that I always kind of think about is the kind of time consuming aspect of it, where, again, like you mentioned with retail, if you decide to get into retail, you're not just getting into retail. Now you need to have like a retail operations manager, marketing manager. You need to be on top of all of that stuff. With the social e-commerce, now you need to start, creating content in order to drive people to your social e-commerce store. Now all of a sudden you have to create a content engine on social. You need to have creators. You need to have a lot that goes into it. And at the end of the day, it's great to have those things. It's great to have creators, and it's great to have content, but you're not pushing it into your own brand or your own funnel, or your own website, where again, that's where you really want to have, improve your click-through rates and your conversion rates and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting that you had mentioned that.
Yeah, it's when you're adding a channel, you're going to expect revenue to go up, right? So I don't expect that there's anybody that's going to add a TikTok shop or an Instagram shop and they're not going to drive more revenue from it. I just think for brands in 2024, where we are now caring about things like profitability again, uh, it's an important question to ask of how does this channel perform when I consider the entire customer life cycle? And although I can sell more product here, are these valuable customers that are going to help make me a profitable business in the long term? For a lot of brands, the answer is yes. For a lot of brands, the answer is no. So you just have to do your homework on whether that channel is going to be something that you could effectively scale.
For sure. And I mean, this kind of leads into my next question about, what are some brands that you see doing really well at social commerce and email marketing right now? Like who kind of has a good social presence, or are using creators in a way to really build their brand exposure and get out in front of their customers in unique ways?
Yeah, I'll kick it back to you for the email marketing component. I'm obviously a little bit more familiar with the social
Yeah.
strategies. On the social side of things, I would say, number one, to just level set, I'm going to start with a very old statistic that I hate in social marketing, which is this used to be perpetuated by Instagram and like the, Sprout Socials and Brand Watches of the world, which is 90% of Instagram users follow a brand account. What is hidden within that number is Instagram users follow hundreds of accounts, and 99% of the accounts they are following are not brand accounts. So for people to be relevant on a social media platform, you typically have to, if not actually be a creator or a person, you have to kind of talk or act like them. And so I would say, the obvious brands to start with that do a really, really great job of being relevant and engaging people on social media are the brands that are founder led. So those are, the really big ones are going to be things like Skims and Fenty, and those brands that have, mega celebrity founders and have a really, really easy time, basically embodying, their celebrity founders persona. the next level that might not be run by Rihanna, uh, if you look at other brands that do a really, really great job of creating a clear brand identity on social media, those are going to be, Revolve, Fashion Nova, Chubby's, Gymshark, all of them. When you think about, who their persona is that they're selling to and what their brand identity is, it's very, very clear. And when you have a very clear brand identity, that makes it very easy for creators to embody that and match that, and then ultimately seed that content with products. So to double click on a couple of them, we can double click on Chubby's, who does a really, really great job of having a brand identity. A Chubby's creator, can create very brand forward content for Chubby's, which is, the fun loving, um, you know, person that wants to take on adventures. They can build content like that and very, very easily seed in products and sell that, on whatever channel they want to. But I think Chubby's is a great example on the men's side of a brand that has a clear identity and allows their creators to make very engaging, shoppable content. On the women's side, one of the best examples that I can come up with is Passion Footwear. They do a really, really great job of just having a very clear brand identity on the women's side. I think a lot of that is embodied after their founder CEO, Haley, but it also is just very, very clear to all the creators on their side who Passion Footwear represents. It makes it very, very easy for them to make highly engaging content that can be seeded with products and doing a really, really great job selling. So I think those are two that are doing an exceptional job right now. But I'll kick it back to you for the email side of things and how that all ties together.
Yeah, I mean, I even got a couple points on the social side, but it's funny you mentioned Chubby's because they're one of our customers. So we see and work with them on their email marketing side of things, and what you're talking about for this like voice and kind of image that they want to portray, like all the way through the funnel, starting at the social, even all the way down to their cart abandonment email that they send out, which typically the one that you always see from people is, hey, you left something in your cart, or hey, 10% off. Chubby's, their subject line is, once you open this email, you're part of the team, you're part of Team Chubby's forever. And it's just really trying to get them thinking about it. And that's like, okay, well, what's in there? And then you go in and they're trying to get you to actually join their VIP program. And it's some cool stuff that they do. But I mean, from a social standpoint too, there's a couple I always think about. One is Chipotle. It's just like, I haven't seen like a brand actually create a persona for themselves like so unique and actually have stuff that they post that like I want to follow, and like it's just funny stuff, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all, but I'm like, I follow them, it comes up in my feed. I think about Chipotle and I want to get it every time I drive by there, so I think they're doing a good job. And I mean, another one for me is being on the marketing side of things. I just always really respect a brand that's created like a good funnel. And if all of a sudden I just find myself like on their website and like now I'm like shopping for something and they like got whatever way they managed to get me there, whether it was through social commerce or whether it was through an ad that I saw on TV, if like me not even thinking about it, I end up on their site. Like a good example is like Athletic Greens, another uh, customer of ours, but I'm a customer of theirs. And because they just got me scrolling and ended up on their site. Next thing you know, I got something in my cart and I like paused for a second. I'm like, do I really need to buy this right now? I'm like, I don't, but I really respect the marketing and the fact that they got me here without thinking about it. And I bought it and I still get it to today. So there's some really good brands doing some cool stuff out there for sure.
Yeah, those are both examples of brands. They might not have the celebrity founders, but they found a way to be really, really relevant. And a lot of times they have to adopt their own personality on multiple channels if they're going to be relevant. So I think they both did a really great job of that.
Yeah. So, just talking about brands that are kind of leading the charge in the social commerce space, from my standpoint, some that really stand out, ones that we work with, like Solo Stove and Manscaped, really just kind of taken the industry by storm with how in their face and out there they are with their content and the programs that they put in place. And I mean, when I look at Solo Stove for, the product that it is, it's a great product, but over 440,000 Instagram followers and 700,000 on TikTok, like it's pretty crazy, and it really speaks volumes to the success that they have. And there's co-founder Spencer. He had a hot podcast on how I built this, and it's very similar kind of to how we're trying to build our company retention.com with like Adam, who's leading the charge with the founder brand content and building in the open. And I think that really has a great unique spot in the industry as well when you're trying to grow any type of brand and any type of business, whether it's SaaS or whether it's on the brand side. Um, I just think they do a really great job of that. And again, Manscaped, another great company, tons of followers for a company that's just a shaver and helping men trim these, which I could use a bit of right now. But they what they try to work in all the time is the humor aspect, right? Like when I was talking about Chipotle really tries to do maybe more Gen Z or edgy type of stuff, but Manscaped likes working in that humor aspect, and it works. It's just some great brands doing some really great content.
Yeah, I would also second the brand founder as your primary brand identity concept is typically very, very successful. It just makes it easy to be relevant in the way that social media users want brands to be relevant. They're there to learn and engage and connect with people. And if brands can adopt a voice really, really easily, it's almost always super successful.
For sure. Have you started doing any of that, or kind of thought about dipping your toes into the LinkedIn content space?
I'm trying to learn. I was never a look at me person, so to speak. So I was pretty late to adopt LinkedIn content creation, but we're working on that right now because it is critically important for us. Becoming as a SaaS company, being relevant right now is harder than ever. There are more SaaS companies. We're struggling in the same way that brands are struggling with competition. And additionally, just email marketing for SaaS companies is becoming more challenging. So the best place to be relevant is the biggest professional community in the world. That's LinkedIn. And myself and a number of other people on our team are just working to create really great, really relevant LinkedIn content that is going to be engaging to, our ICP. Learned a
Yeah,
lot of that from
definitely.
Adam.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow in some big shoes, but it's nice he puts that playbook right out there. But there's definitely a motivation behind it as well. Because I mean, Adam's just got this crazy awesome motivation when it comes to that side of things, and I'm trying to take some of that in internally. But I mean, me trying to get a one post per week is tough enough, but I gotta, like you said, for the good of the business, try to ramp it up, be a little more like, hey, here's what we do, here's how we do it, and build a bit more of a following and our own content for the SaaS side of things.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the world. And the way that we look at it is, when we have interesting, original, or punchy thoughts, we just want to make sure that we're sharing them with the world and we're open to feedback on what other people's point of view must be. So, we're trying to do that, and we found it's been really successful over the last few months.
Awesome. And so from a consumer's perspective, with all the different options that are available, what keeps you loyal to a brand? Can you kind of share some insights again from your experience with some of these, top 8, 9 figure brands that you guys work with in terms of their strategies?
Yeah. I would say generally brands are focused again on becoming profitable. And so this
Right.
is a more important question than ever. You have to keep people coming back because the acquisition costs of a customer in a competitive landscape like this are not going to be sustainable. You can't keep reacquiring first time customers. So all of our brands are thinking about this more than ever. Um, there's a couple of really, really important things that I've seen as trends, that lend themselves to the brands that are having the highest percentage of repeat customers and just the highest LTV customers in general. Um, First would be ones that have built a really, really great community. So brands that can build a community of people, which is, really your customers talking to each other in a very unfiltered manner. Brands that are able to do that successfully and organically tend to have very, very high customer retention and very high LTV. We've seen a few brands build out communities, and that actually, solves customer service for them. And it also just becomes a relevant touch point where people are coming back to the community and always thinking about the brand. So I'd say number one, for brands that can do that organically, community is a great opportunity. Two, just making your customers raise their hands and become brand advocates. That's something that we've been focused on for a long, long time. If you have a customer and in your post-purchase flow, you're getting them to sign up to be an ambassador, and then after that, you're getting them to create content for your brand, publicly endorse your brand. When they stick their flag out on their social media page and they say, "I love this brand, I'm endorsing it," they're going to be constantly thinking about you for the rest of their lives. So I think that's just
Yeah.
a really important touch point with consumers. And if you can turn people into brand advocates, there's obviously marketing benefits, but there are enormous retention benefits as well. So that's also a super important point. And then the last thing is, obviously we always want to keep people engaged with whatever relevant offers and discounts we can. That doesn't mean just sending generic marketing emails. That means, if we know something about a customer because of a certain type of content they created or a certain behavior they've been showing over time, or they fit in a certain segment, giving them a really relevant offer still works. And it's still probably the most efficient form of marketing. So I would say those are the three foundations for most of the really great high LTV brands that we see.
Awesome. Now, I definitely want to, kind of pick your brain on a customer or two of yours that you think, is doing that really well. I'm just going to lead with an example from my own side of things, just because it got me thinking. One of the first people I met when I got into the e-com industry a couple years ago was Curtis Matsko, the founder of Portland Leather. And just after kind of talking to him and learning their story and seeing like what the community that they've built, I could not believe the like just passionate brand ambassadors that they have built around purchasing leather bags and leather goods. And it like very niche, but like they launch a new leather bag and he's like, our community drives us. Like these people are waiting for the drop. They're sharing their friends, and they've done just such an exceptional job at that community aspect, but also combining it with the brand ambassador. And they do typically go hand in hand. But to your point, I think some people they might get too focused on one, or they might get too focused on the other. But if you can get really good at the community and the brand ambassador, those two combined, you're really off to the races.
Yeah, that's a really great example. And that's a dream situation for any brand where your community is effectively selling out your products every time you launch them.
Yeah.
The one that comes into my mind, one of our customers, is a brand called Kite Baby, and so Kite Baby does a number of things very uniquely. I would say number one, we work with a lot of brands in the children's space. Um, it really is an important, if you're in that category, it's an important place for community. So many people are first time parents and they're just looking for people to connect with. And one of the ways they connect with people are through brands. And so typically brands in the children's space are going to have, Facebook groups or, channels, Discord channels, Instagram groups, things like that to connect all of their customers. And I think that's so important, because, even though children's apparel might be a very small piece of the puzzle when you're parenting, the people that are shopping for the same types of apparel and things like that often are very great resources for basically any of your parenting needs. So Kite Baby does a really great job on community, and they also do a great job building brand ambassadors. So when you are a Kite Baby customer, they're going to ask you after you make a purchase, sign up to be an ambassador on Instagram, sign up to be an ambassador on TikTok. They're TikTok ambassadors. It's not just, hey, we would love for you to create some content. They've actually mapped out a content journey where at different points in your child's life, 0 to 3 months, 6 to 12 months, things like that, they're asking you to do different types of content for them, and they're going to give different rewards for the different steps in your journey. So I just think they put a lot of thought into making sure that the ambassador understands that they're looking for a long-term relationship. There's a clear vision for what the ambassador journey is going to be, and also they're being very um, forthcoming in how they're going to recognize and incentivize and really thank people for creating content. So they really do a great job of both of those, and I would say a lot of children's brands do a really great job of building that community.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Kite Baby because similar to Portland Leather, there's kind of like an underlying aspect that also needs to kind of be true, I think, to make this work, which is an unbelievable product and just like a like really passion for whether it's leather or whether it's little baby onesies. I have a 3 month old. We got a Kite Baby. We have some non-Kite Baby, and I can tell you the Kite Baby are our favorite for sure. And we're those parents that are right in that funnel. My wife follows up on all the things that you were just mentioning, and it's kind of like that internal flywheel, right? Like just if you actually have like a truly great product, but then you combine it with these other ways to to grow with loyalty and community and brand building and social commerce. It's cool to see it take effect, and it really does take a stranglehold on the market.
It all does work together. And, now that there are so many brands in the world, that is how you differentiate. The quality can be resonated to new potential customers when you've built a community, when you have brand advocates, when you've got reviews and a loyalty funnel and all of those things on your site. It all works together, and it's all part of building a long-term successful brand.
Yeah, for sure. And so just wanted to ask you another one here of, why is delivering a relevant, personalized customer experience so crucial for brands that are looking to stand out in today's competitive market? And, maybe what would be some steps that brands can take to enhance their customer experience?
Yeah. I think we've talked about it a couple of times, but in 2024, I really don't care what you are selling. There are probably 3 to 100 brands that are selling something that looks identical on a product card on Shopify or on a product card in the TikTok shops. You're going to have competition. And in many cases, because your competitors care less about quality and they've really built less of a robust business, they're going to be able to beat you on price and probably invest more in advertising. So more than ever, it is really, really, really critical to build an amazing customer experience. That is how you differentiate, and that is how you ultimately build brand equity and charge what you want to charge, to become a high value brand. So it's a more important question than ever. I think everything that we've talked about ties into it. You need to have a clear buyer journey and understand, how do we want to acquire customers, but then what do we do with them afterwards? What are our expectations for when somebody is going to come back, and when do we make sure that we're able to do that? You want to build a community, and that's going to be part of the customer journey and the evolution of that customer. You need to provide great customer service, so you need to understand where somebody is in their buying journey and be able to meet their needs every step of the way. So there really aren't any shortcuts to building a high quality brand. Like I said, there's so much competition. Somebody's going to beat you on price. Somebody's going to be spending more on advertising. If you want to build a sustainable, profitable business, it does come down to having a great customer experience, understanding what that buyer's life cycle is, and providing a really, really valuable service the entire way.
You nailed it. I couldn't even add any better language to that one. That's awesome. And I mean, I'll just wrap it up here by kind of asking you and what you kind of have going on at LoudCrowd coming up. Is there any events that people can find you guys at? Where can brands, if they want to work with you guys, come reach out to you or find you at? Is it just a matter of hitting you up on LinkedIn? What's kind of the best way to interact with you and the LoudCrowd gang?
Yeah, you can always find us in LinkedIn. We typically are going to attend some of the larger e-commerce events, things like e-tail and major conferences like that. You can also find us on our website, loudcrowd.com. And I would just say, quick plug to one of our new products. LoudCrowd has been really, really focused on building creator storefronts natively on brand websites that enables creators to sell more via social and things like that. What we're also introducing is a new product that basically will turn your Shopify or your e-com site from something that is very focused on selling by product categories to a tool that allows people to really shop by different ambassadors and shop by different creators. So we've introduced something called the influencer list page. And if you're driving traffic to your site and you're focused on Gen Z or really just any type of product that you think a creator helps somebody be inspired a little bit more than just searching by filters and product categories, we've got an amazing new product which has done incredibly well with a lot of the biggest retailers in the world. So excited to bring that to market now.
Wow, that's awesome. I think that's even new since last time we chatted. So that's awesome. So where people can find that on your website, see examples of it, and learn more about it, right?
Yeah, loudcrowd.com, and then go to the influencer list page in the solutions.
Awesome. Well, hey, that's it. And thanks for chatting today, Gary.